Hello.
Hello. Hello and welcome back to the SWAN pricing show. My name is Filip Vucic. I'm a pricing mentor.
I'm Philip Zolota. I'm business mentor. Welcome.
Today we want to talk about, well, industry averages, um, in a way, because people don't really like to think about their price much. It's a painful thing, and it's very consequential, and it's very important, but it's multifaceted. And whenever I price something, I actually feel the pull, the siren call of just apply the industry average and you're done, right? You're done with thinking about this. It's just solved, right? Um, and even to me, it's tempting to think that way. However, industry averages are great in theory.
Mhm.
But when you try to apply one in practice, the question is, what's my industry? Now, it sounds easy, right? I do pricing mentorship, so I don't know, pricing of business consulting. Sure, sorry. Sure, except that's a very broad area, starting with McKinsey and ending with somebody who is just out of college, just like I was 20 years ago. So that's that's not a good average. It's a good average as standing with one foot in lava and one in ice and saying, on average, this is fine, right? Um, and even then, maybe it can be called coaching because it kind of is. A large part of it is coaching, which is even broader. And then we get to the idea of an international market, which I serve.
Yeah.
So an industry average for small and medium business sized consultants in Zagreb, Croatia, is completely different than in, New York or Singapore or I don't know, Karachi.
Mhm.
So what's the industry average? What's the industry? What's the average? Just you of course can say, oh, I'm living here, so I must apply my own average here, and for the rest of the questions, la 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 la, I can't hear myself think, right? It's this, I'm saved, the game is over. So, and congratulations, you managed not to think, but
Good job. Well done.
good job. If that was the only goal that we had today, that would be a pure win, right? But apart from that, yeah, maybe there's some things that should still be addressed, in the interest of not being completely wrong, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the idea is that it's attempting to say my industry. So where do I belong in what industry? It's not even a question. That's plain to see. But once you try to narrow it down, it's it's complicated, and it's even more complicated because your opinion is probably the least important in that. Because if people see you as consultant, then they're going to expect consultant prices, whatever that means. If they see you as a coach, if they see you as an agent or one-man agency, if they see you as, these are all going to be different. So you need to be able to understand who you want to communicate first, and then how they see you, and then you can start assembling what industry does your service actually belong, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Have an example for something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. We even mentioned it in the pre-show on the simple example of consultancy office. some consultancy company which is providing expert service to their respective clients. So, okay, they're covering one line of expertise and services. Another consultancy office is doing the same, but have the extra mile effort, knowledge, skill set, experience, and expertise in a wide area, which is fully complementary to the desired state of the company, and they can create and give even additional value in terms of service scope. Alternatively, for the client, the situation would be something like this. Okay, we need the consultancy office for this, and this. So you need maybe additionally 3, 4, or sometimes even more dedicated specialists from various companies, while sometimes you can have that on one location. So when we are talking about being effective, not just money-wise, but in terms of operations, scanning, and everything, centralization is potentially helpful. Also, often happen for example, from the perspective of marketing agencies. Okay, there are a bunch of full-service digital marketing agencies. Presentation-wise, they are very similar, but when you dig deeper, you understand every business, marketing agency, any consultancy office, accountancy bureau, all of them have respectable skills and experience and expertise, which is even deeper in some of the fields from which your company can benefit. And that is important parameter in defining your price. As you mentioned, okay, let's take some average and apply it here. It's a no-go, because what you are doing, it's a going rate, average rate, what you can expect on the market, but nothing of it. It's directly connected with the true value you can generate to your clients. So quite often you are undervaluing and underpricing your service, just being lazy, as you said, turning off your brain. Let's start with this, and after that we'll be thinking about the expansion. No, you won't. You'll be positioning yourself with the pricing and all additional activities in specific bracket. And later on, what can you expect? We didn't have the good results. The clients were expecting this or that. So price positioning can also impact your market positioning. You need to have consistency in all respectable fields out there, not just in one specific fragment or component.
I would even say price positioning is one of the main validating effects.
Exactly.
Or factors, because
exactly.
If I say, I'm a consultant for S&P 500, but you can only pay me in cash. Yes, sounds legit, right? Or I'm totally going to guarantee results or something, but you can never meet me in person, and you can only pay me in Bitcoin. And I'm not even talking about sums here, right? I'm not even talking about sums here. Of course, that almost goes without saying that if I say, I've had hundreds and hundreds of housewives taking my advice, and my price is, $5,000 client. There's like, really? So your positioning, I wouldn't say your positioning is primarily set by price, but it's primarily validated by price, right? If you say you're confident and your price says you're not confident, then you're probably not confident. Especially on the internet, as we all know, everything that looks too good to be true on the internet is.
Yeah, and I have one awesome guy. I must mention him. No names for sure.
Sure.
The guy is a business growth specialist or whatever, a magician. We'll call him a magician. And the guy was asking for 6 months of engagement, 100K, with zero social proof, with zero market proof. Like you decide today, I'll be business coach, and from tomorrow I'm asking this and I'll be doing this, and that's it. That is my foundation. And whoever comes to the pipeline, meaning sales pipeline, potentially, etc., they'll all convert because I am who I am and who I pretend to be. So it's quite often the crazy case scenario, and I stumble upon that sort of guys on the market. And it was funny. It was very, very funny, I must say. Yeah, yeah. So zero proof, zero anything, but
Sounds
yeah,
funny.
they have placed themselves in terms of value. And as we also mentioned in the pre-show, 100% of population have definitely a positive thought about themselves in terms of value, the professionalism, and how committed they are to the cause, the business, and whatever. So no, you won't be seeing too often people saying, yeah, I'm not a good fit for this, I'm not professional in this or that, etc. So people
Yes,
have
which is
a specific perception of their knowledge, and yeah, it's very subjective.
it's similar to perspective I would have on a butcher. That whatever I ask, is it good? It says yes, yes, excellent, excellent, right? Whatever. You know, I can see the flies on this one. No, 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 no. It's the you know that's exactly what it needs to be. So once they say oh, this is, yeah, leave it where it is, right? Um, I I wouldn't sell that to you today. Then when he says for something else, oh yeah, this is very good. Now you believe him because it was against his short-term interest to decline to sell something, and that's how you know that he can afford it, and that's how you know. So he is probably successful enough, and there's probably a reason for this, right? So the value of pushback is significant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're talking about the value of pushback. Let's talk about how to know when your category is probably a bad fit. So you chose a category and you advertise as being in that category, and you invite by doing that, you invite people to recognize you and compare you to others in that category. And then if it happens that clients genuinely act confused by your pricing, it could be height, it could be type, it could be the base, right? So, oh, you're not doing hourly? Okay. That's a first. How does that even work, right? So that's one. The second, I think, cue is repeated successful sales to unexpected types of clients. So you thought you would sell this to I don't know, companies with 20 plus employees, but not more than 100. And then you sell repeatedly to solopreneurs. And now you're like, what is happening here? There's something that I'm not seeing, right? They are seeing something. So, you know, you sell to one weird guy, you sell to one weird guy. It happens. But this was strange. And then competitors, that's the final one. And I think the biggest one. Competitors start to copy your pricing policies. That also means that you struck a different path, and even if you don't see it, the others say, "Oh, yeah, that that makes sense." And I think one thing that we usually cover in this show is the difference between the duck world and the swan world, right? So in the usual services, in the everyday commoditized world of services, it's very hard to do a category jump because there are deep ruts, and you either slide into this one or that one. There's usually regulation. You know, a bank cannot be, you know, seen as an investment fund tomorrow with no consequences. It needs to jump through all sorts of hoops, and so if you jump a category, you will know. There's no confusion about it. And this is also because they're all interchangeable. But expertise is not that easily interchangeable. A dentist is not a dentist, an agency is not an agency, a lawyer is not a lawyer, and so on. A programmer is not a programmer, especially. Because you and I both know that full stack developer means a host of things depending on who is saying it and in what context.
Yeah,
right?
very interesting and very wide perspective. Yeah.
So I had a client once upon a time that he insisted that he was definitely not. He's probably the best programmer that I know, and I know a bunch. But he insisted he was not. He couldn't call himself full stack because he didn't do mobile. He did basically everything else, but no. It's just yeah.
This is the exclusion factor. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just no. If I wanted that, I would have to learn Sanskrit as well, because and the sad thing is, because he was using that definition and other people didn't, he didn't get some opportunities that other people who were way worse than he was in basically all aspects, including mobile, probably getting that because in their definition, they were totally a full stack developer.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least willing to say that with a straight face.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were bold enough. And that is the regular stuff. Often you'll see the true professionals, they have often the imposter syndrome, so they are not so ready or keen to say a bunch of stuff, while others who are not necessarily in top tier in terms of skill set, experience, and expertise, they're very easy on saying anything what will be bringing a food on the table. So it can be pretty much interesting.
I think this has to do with that's one of the old philosophers. I think it was Aristotle's plate theory of knowledge. You know that one, right? If your knowledge is like this big, then you know this much, and you don't know this much. This is the things that you know that you don't know, right? So there's not a lot of that. Even more if I show the coin, but I don't have one here at my disposal. But if you know a lot more, right? So I'm grabbing a plate here. If you know a lot more, then you know all of this, but there's a much bigger area where you know what you don't know, so you're less sure of yourself because there's more things that you might not know, right? And this is how we get the Dunning-Kruger effect. People who know barely anything think they know everything because they don't know enough to know that they don't know enough. Yes.
I must say that I appreciate how you came prepared with the props and everything. I like it.
I was hungry, okay?
Fair enough.
I just scrounged a little. So I think what would be also interesting, and I first wanted to hear you say, how do you know which category you fit into for what market, or for what for a single service, let's say?
Yeah, it's I'm always being focused, and I have my specific frame in terms of value generation and a specific perspective, which help me in entire process how to navigate through the experience, especially me being involved in various businesses as a shareholder, a partner, etc. Sometimes it can be pretty much noisy out there, but if you are very precise about the value perspective you're bringing on the table and you know how to communicate that, it's becoming a no-brainer. Not only from the portfolio perspective, people know you, aha, you did this or that, blah, blah, blah. not simply through the communication, the value proposition, and addressing all the relevant key points in some respectable field. And also, in the same time, you get a proper insight if you're actually asking people for the feedback, for the experience, etc., etc. So it's a two-way street all the time, no matter the situation, no matter the experience and everything. I always like to dig deeper, simply to understand the other perspective, uh, get feedback, and that is something which I can easily then place in our repository for future communication, etc. And as you mentioned now today, what can be happening if you initially you're being focused on one specific ICP and the market is showing you something different. It's not that you got something wrong. It helps you navigate towards the ideal ideal position. And practically, the market is giving you feedback, the insight and everything, which helps you focus on the real deal. And people should be open enough. More often than not, people are being strict about the path. The path is something which can change through the time. As you gather experience, as you go through the time, through the experiences, that is okay. You don't need to be strict about some specific perspective because you nail that down 1, 2, 3, 5 years back. No, it's a living tissue, so it can change. We are changing through the time, and that is okay. And you need to simply accept that.
Yeah, the basics of system theory that I was taught was simply, it's often said that a company is like a clock, and it's not.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
a clock you can wind down, you can leave it in a safe for 200 years, and you can wind it up, and it will just work, right?
Yeah.
So a company is complicated or complex, but like a child would be, or like any kind of animal or person, right? It's a deer, not a clock, because you cannot stop it and leave it be, and it will not be the same 2 years from now. It might have the same parts, just like a clock, but all of those parts have some wear and tear, some trauma, some additional experience that they didn't have 2 years ago. So, is it exactly the same as 2 years ago? No, absolutely not, right? So it is complicated, but not like a clock. Clock is much more stable and static and physical, let's say, right? This is much more of a social construct. Right. And what I wanted to say is, I sometimes help people find their industry for this very reason. And of course, as you said, it starts with defining the problem you solve, but from a particular audience's perspective, right? So a job search can be a problem, but it's going to be different. It's going to look different for an individual looking for a job, or a company trying to fill a role, or a recruiter, or a matchmaker. So it's the same problem, but it's going to, there's different perspectives on that problem. So once you understand what problem and whose perspective are you trying to chase, I actually say try Googling it from that perspective. So frame it from that perspective and see what you get, right? Because you will get different things. You will not just get coaching, or just can't get consulting, or just get master classes, or masterminds, or support groups. There's all, and of course books and courses. There's going to be all sorts of things that people could use instead of your own service, and that's called competition. You could call it a substitute if you want to play an economist, but it's just competition, just not what you would traditionally call direct competition. But as I said at the beginning, today you have to be selling something physical in a single location without a web shop in order to actually for it to actually matter, who is so where you are when you offer that, right? Because I live in Croatia. I don't sell in Croatia. I do 10%,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So for me to go after a Croatian industry standard would be absolutely pointless, right? Um, Also, you still need to check adjacent markets closely related to yours. That means, in your case, people who usually inherit your work. So you do something for them, and then they also pay somebody else to advance it, or to paint or whatever. Or sometimes they have to pay somebody before, right? A business coach or whatever. There you will usually find offers that at least partially overlap with what you do. So that's not even simple. So they're not direct competition because that's not their meat and potatoes. That's not what they live off of, but they still offer it, right?
mhm.
Um, I know, for example, I know a lot of accountants that will also do business plans, as a side job, which is not something that most of them is really proficient of, but they can do it, right? Um, Especially the numeric part, and then the rest is, guessing and chat GPT these days. I'm not saying that that's true for everybody. I'm just saying this is something that they do as a side thing, not as their main business, right? Um, and sorry, yeah. Um, and then, of course, changing trends or technologies that are likely to shift what your industry was and what will it be in like 5 years, or three, or, or one in these times. I mean, in 2019, nobody would pay for consultation over Skype. That was not a thing, right? You could do pre-sales over Skype, but if you wanted to actually work with somebody, you had to, grab a whiteboard and come to their office, or let them come to yours. In 2021, no big thing. That was a very, very usual thing to do all over the world suddenly,
Yeah,
right?
relevant shift.
Yes. So this was over Zoom, not Skype, but that's their loss. Uh, right? And finally, I think it's very, very interesting to ask clients or potential clients, or even potential clients that you know that you're going to lose. So these are not a good fit. But you can ask them, you can still salvage something out of that conversation if you ask them who they turn to for the problems that you solve. So, okay, this is probably not going to work. I don't, this is not something that you can do right now, or I don't have the time to do it in this time slot that you have. It's urgent. It's fine. Tell me, who do you go to, right? Who do you turn to? And sometimes, often, their answers can reveal a lot and teach you a lot. So I had some really good conversations with clients that I never got, but as we say on this show, you can not lose a client you never had.
Exactly. That is
Right.
great practicing and great suggestion. The same thing from the agency perspective in my business, I was doing the same. Extremely valuable insight you receive. Practically, it help you navigate and to set up and optimize entire sales process, communication, tangibles, value proposition, etc. That people, when they're feeling the doors are closing, that's it. No, doors are still open and you have full control. And doesn't mean that you won't be doing something with the same people in the future. Uh, the no should be perceived as a temporary situation, not a permanent one. You never know what will be happening in the future. The tide is shifting, the preference is shifting. As you both mentioned today, we all change through time. So you never know what the future will bring in that respectable realm, business wise, partnership wise, you name it. So it's very important to ask people that specific question to get the proper answer, which definitely help you and support you and your business to grow.
Right. So I think we can slowly wrap it up. I think the conclusion is that it's good to think about your price, and that means thinking about your industry as well, and that takes some serious detective work or exploration work. It's not something that you can pull out of your pocket. It kind of seems you can, but when you try, it turns out that it's one of those magicians hankies that just keep coming out, right? Out of a seemingly very small pocket. So, anything?
Yeah, I think we wrapped it up pretty much okay for today.
Well, then, where can people find you, Philip?
People can find me on LinkedIn and also on my consultancy and mentorship page, philipzalata.com.
People can find me on fearless-pricing.com and LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and all the good places. People, thank you for being us another week, and see you next time on the SWAN Pricing Show. Goodbye.
See you. Take care.